When you think of German vehicles, you probably picture sleek Autobahn cruisers or precision-engineered sedans. But Germany has a wild side too, a rugged off-road heritage that birthed some of the toughest 4x4 machines ever built. From World War II war wagons to luxury off-roaders, these are the 10 most incredible German 4x4 vehicles, built not just to drive, but to dominate. What began in the late 70s as a military project between Mercedes and the Shah of Iran became one of the most iconic off-roaders on the planet. The Mercedes-Benz G-Class, known as the G-Wagon, isn't just about luxury. It's a brick-shaped beast with 3 locking differentials, insane articulation, and a bulletproof reputation. Originally deployed for NATO and various militaries, it evolved into a status symbol, but it never lost its rugged heart. The civilian G63 AMG, yeah, that has a twin-turbo V8, but still comes with full off-road gear. And here's the twist. Each G-Wagon is still hand-built in Graz, Austria. That's right. This isn't factory mass production. It's craftsmanship for the battlefield or Beverly Hills.
The IFA W50 4x4 was about as East German as it gets. A no-nonsense utility truck built to endure brutal winters, heavy workloads, and maybe even the end of the world. Produced from 1965 to 1990, this Cold War workhorse wasn't designed for comfort or speed, just pure, state-approved function. Powered by a 6.56-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine pushing 125 horsepower, it wasn't quick, but it could haul over 5 tons of cargo without complaint. Off-road, the W50 proved surprisingly capable thanks to its 4x4 setup, locking differential, and rugged suspension. It once famously climbed the spectator stands at Budapest's Népstadion during testing. Today it's a cult favorite among classic truck fans, part historical artifact, part unstoppable machine.
This one's small, weird-looking, and wildly important. The Volkswagen ILtis, developed in the late 1970s, was a military reconnaissance vehicle for the German Bundeswehr. Simple, square, tough as nails. But here's where it gets crazy. In 1980, a modified ILtis shocked the world by winning the Paris-Dakar Rally, a brutal 6,200-mile off-road death march through Africa. His all-wheel drive tech, Audi engineers borrowed it and created Quattro, yes, the system that dominated rally for years. So while the ILtis might look like a box on wheels, it changed AWD history.
A doorless drab-painted canvas-topped oddity, built for East German patrol units, border guards and forest rangers who weren't afraid of a little breeze. Its body was made from Duroplast, a lightweight mix of resin and fibers, making it tough, rust-proof, and light enough to skip over rough roads like a toy with a purpose. Power came from a 594cc 2-stroke, twin-cylinder engine, producing a humble 26 horsepower. It wasn't fast, but it had just enough grit to navigate muddy trails and snowy back roads with stubborn determination. No frills, no fuss. This was function-first design, born out of a world built on limitations. Today, the Kubel's no-nonsense silhouette and minimalist design turn heads at vintage car meets. Rugged, rare, and oddly endearing, it made utilitarian cool long before it was trendy.
The Mercedes-Benz Unimog, short for Universal Motor Gerate, is a multi-purpose vehicle designed to do absolutely everything. It's used in war zones, wildfires, polar expeditions, agriculture, you name it. Portal axles give it insane ground clearance. It can climb 45-degree slopes, ford rivers, and crawl over boulders like a tank on stilts. Oh, and it's street legal. The Unimog is more than just a 4x4. It's a worldwide icon of mobility, often used by militaries, disaster relief units, and even adventurers building overland motorhomes. Wait, a luxury family SUV on this list? Yes, and for good reason. The Audi Q7 V12 TDI is not your average soft-roader. Under its hood is a 6.0-liter twin-turbo diesel V12, making it one of the most powerful diesel SUVs ever built. It pumps out 500 horsepower and a monstrous 737 pound-feet of torque. And yes, it has full-time Quattro AWD. This 4x4 monster could launch from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. While carrying your kids and groceries, it was built for excess, for domination, and due to strict emissions laws, it was quickly discontinued, making it even rarer today.
Stripped down and unsure if it's a car or a cargo crate. But beneath that utilitarian shell lies some unexpectedly brilliant engineering. Originally developed in the late 70s for the West German military, the ILtis was passed to Volkswagen after Audi laid the groundwork. And that early Audi involvement, it sparked the creation of a clever all-wheel drive system, the very foundation of what would later become Audi's legendary Quattro. Powered by a 1.7-litre four-cylinder engine, the ILtis featured full-time 4W drive, locking differentials, and a low crawler gear that let it tackle climbs most cars wouldn't dream of attempting. It wasn't flashy, but it was fiercely capable. Need proof? In 1980, this bare-bones bruiser shocked the world by winning the grueling Paris-Dakar rally, outperforming a field full of faster, fancier competitors.
Porsche in the dirt? Believe it. The Cayenne Trans-Siberia edition was born from one of the harshest rally raids on Earth. The Trans-Siberia Rally, covering over 4,400 miles from Moscow to Mongolia. This wasn't some paint and stripes package. It featured shortened gear ratios, locking center diff, raised air intake snorkel, skid plates, rally-tuned suspension. Dozens of these special Cayennes competed, and they dominated the event in brutal Siberian terrain. It was proof Porsche's precision could get dirty too.
Enter the 1955 Type 597 Jagdwagen, Porsche's hunting car, built in response to West Germany's call for a light military vehicle. The result? A rugged 4WG off-roader with a rear-mounted 1.5-litre flat-4 engine and enough ground clearance to scale terrain that would leave other vehicles gasping. Only 71 were ever produced, likely because the market for amphibious hunting Porsches was limited. Today, it stands as one of the rarest and strangest vehicles to ever wear the Porsche badge. Part military rig, part collector's dream. Craving more forgotten legends? Hit like, subscribe, and let's keep rolling. Maybe you, forgotten legends over.
The first-gen BMW X5 was marketed as a sport activity vehicle, not a true SUV, but with the optional off-road package, it could get dirty. This package added hill descent control, skid plates, all-terrain programming, and rear air suspension with height adjustment. It was rare. Most buyers never ticked that box, but it turned the luxurious X5 into a trail-capable sleeper. Today, clean examples with the off-road pack are hard to find, but highly sought after by enthusiasts who want comfort and capability.
Enter the realm of pre-war prestige and military engineering with the Mercedes-Benz G4 W31, produced from 1934 to 1939. This wasn't your typical off-roader. It was a six-wheeled, three-axle titan designed to command attention on both rugged trails and ceremonial avenues. Powered by a 5.0 to 5.4-litre inline-six engine, pushing around 100 horsepower, it had the muscle to carry top-ranking officials across difficult terrain with ease. The G4's off-road capabilities were ahead of its time. With all three axles driven and impressive ground clearance, it could tackle rough roads, muddy fields, and steep grades, all while transporting military brass or dignitaries in luxury. Used primarily by high-ranking officials in Nazi Germany, it was both a working machine and a symbol of power. Only about 57 were ever built, each hand-assembled with lavish interiors featuring leather seats, wood trim, and refined detailing. Today, the G4 W31 stands as a rare and imposing example of pre-war German engineering, part history, part automotive legend.
The MAN Cat 1 is a Cold War-era 8x8 military transport truck. Massive, tall, intimidating. Built by MAN SE for NATO, it could carry troops, cargo, even missiles. It features an 8-wheel drive layout, central tire inflation, deep water fording capability, and enough ground clearance to laugh at obstacles. Today, surplus KAT1s are bought by civilians and converted into off-grid overland homes that can drive through deserts, jungles, and frozen tundras. This isn't just 4x4. It's 4x8 insanity.
You've probably heard of the Volkswagen Type 181, better known as the Thing, a no-frills off-roader beloved by West Germany's military and later the civilian market. But the Porsche Type 181. That's a rare twist in off-road history. In the 1970s, Porsche and VW were closely intertwined, even sharing dealership networks. Looking to make a splash in the US, Porsche took the VW Thing, upgraded it with a 914 engine, a 5-speed gearbox, improved suspension, and a refined gauge cluster, creating a more capable, more premium off-road machine with Porsche flair. Unfortunately, when Porsche tried to introduce this enhanced version to American dealers, the response was lukewarm at best. Only 5 units were ever built before
the sleeper powerhouse. It looks tame, but under the hood, a 5.0-liter V10 twin-turbo diesel with 553 pound-feet of torque. The VW Tourreg V10 TD, I could tow over 7,700 pounds and even performed a PR stunt, towing a Boeing 747 on a runway. Add in air suspension, multiple terrain modes, and locking differentials, and you've got a luxury vehicle that can seriously wheel. It's quiet, stealthy, and brutally powerful.
The Volkswagen Golf was everywhere, but VW decided it was time to take it off the pavement. Enter the Golf country, a limited production, hand-built off-road version of the Mark II Golf Synchro, designed to handle trails as well as city streets. Powered by a familiar 1.8-litre inline-4, making 89 horsepower, and paired with a 5-speed manual with shorter gearing. The Golf Country packed about 350 extra pounds of rugged hardware. Finished by Steyr Daimler Puch in Austria, it featured a tubular subframe, a 4.7-inch suspension lift, over 7 inches of ground clearance, and protective skid plates. Even the CV joints wore armour. On rough terrain, the viscous coupling AL28 system transferred torque to the rear wheels when needed, transforming it from a front-wheel commuter into a confident off-road explorer. It wasn't just a novelty, it performed. Today, the Golf Country stands as one of VW's coolest and rarest off-road collectibles.
The insane desert monster. Take a G-Wagon, add an extra axle, 6 wheels, 5 locking diffs, 18 inches of ground clearance, and a twin-turbo V8. You now have the Mercedes G63 AMG 6x6, a $500,000 monster built for sand dunes, military use, and pure excess. Originally developed for the Australian Army, it later became the poster child for oil sheiks and YouTubers looking to flex. This thing isn't just rare, it's insanity on wheels.
Launched in 1948 by Ferry Porsche in Austria, the 356 fused Volkswagen simplicity with pure racing intent. Its rear-mounted, air-cooled 1.1-litre flat 4 made just 40 horsepower, but in a featherweight aluminium body, it delivered surprising off-road capability and agile handling. By 1950, Porsche switched to steel bodies, and the 356's design began to evolve. The split windshield gave way to a sleek single pane in 1952, and with each generation, from the Pre-A to the 356A, B and C, it gained more power, refined curves, disc brakes, and an unmistakable sporty edge. The Speedster version embraced minimalism, low windshield, stripped-down interior, and a smile on every curve. On the track, the 356 proved itself at Le Mans and the Mille Miglia, helping define Porsche's performance legacy. Today, it's one of the most sought-after classics in the world, a symbol of timeless design and driving purity.
Number 1. Tempo G1200. World War II's tiny trailblazer. We end where it all began. The Tempo G1200, built in the early 1940s, was one of the first German military 4x4s. It used 2 engines, one for each axle, and had 4-wheel steering. Despite its strange design, it was remarkably agile in mud, forest, and snow. It laid the groundwork for Germany's 4x4 evolution. Today, it's a rare collector's gem, often forgotten, but never unimportant.
The VW G60 Classic was a sleeper in every sense. A modest Mk2 Golf shell hiding a punchy secret under the hood. Introduced in August 1988, as a limited edition tribute to forced induction, it featured a 1.8-litre G-Ladder supercharged 4-cylinder engine, delivering 160 horsepower and about 210 Newton-meters of torque, more than enough to surprise unsuspecting rivals at a stoplight. Power was sent through a 5-speed manual to the front wheels, with a synchro version offering full-time AWD for those craving extra grip. The chassis stayed mostly stock, with McPherson struts up front, semi-trailing arms at the rear, and disc brakes at all corners. Styling was deliberately understated, just a G60 badge on the grille, stock bumpers, steel wheels, and sticky tires. Inside, it remained pure Mark II Golf. Functional plastics, supportive cloth seats, and a well-proportioned steering wheel that reminded you this was still a driver's machine. With only 13,000 units built, the G60 Classic is now a rare and coveted chapter in VW's performance history. The 1981 G-Class W460 was like a tank dressed for a black tie event. Rugged, capable, and oddly refined. Engine options range from the humble 240 GD diesel, churning out just 71 horsepower, to the more spirited 280 GE petrol version with 148 horsepower. Neither was built for speed, but they were built to last, with a focus on reliability over thrills. Fuel economy wasn't its strong suit, averaging around 16.5 litres per 100 kilometres. But Mercedes made up for it with unexpected creature comforts. In 1981, drivers were treated to luxuries like automatic transmissions, air conditioning, and power windows, perfect for staying cool while conquering a mountainside. Though it started with utilitarian intentions, the W460 quickly found favor in high places. Literally. Even the Pope had one, famously converted into the glass-domed Popemobile. Today, the original G-Wagon remains a beloved classic, proof that function-first design can still turn heads. The Volkswagen Type 2 quickly became a post-war icon, a rolling box of character and charm. The split-window version, with its cheerful round headlights and upright windshield, had an unmistakable personality. It looked like it was smiling even when coated in trail dust. While it wasn't designed for off-roading, creative owners gave it surprising trail capability. With a lifted suspension and beefy tires, the Combi could cruise dirt roads and backcountry paths like a grinning mountain goat. The rear-mounted engine offered solid traction, and its Swiss Army knife versatility meant it could be a camper, cargo hauler, or trail-hugging weekend warrior, all with vintage soul. Whether parked at the beach or bouncing up a fire road, the Type 2 brought good vibes wherever it went. More than just transportation, it was, and still is, a lifestyle on wheels. By 1986, the 300 GD was proudly carrying that legacy, powered by a 3.0-litre OM617 inline-5 diesel. It delivered just 88 horsepower and 127 elm-foot of torque. Not impressive on paper, but renowned for longevity. Some ran over 620,000 miles without breaking a sweat. In a horsepower-hungry world, the 300 GD was the quiet marathoner. Visually, it was pure utility. A boxy profile, flat glass, and slab-sided doors that didn't pretend to be sleek. Underneath, a ladder-frame chassis, solid axles, and Mercedes' legendary torsion beam suspension made it equally at home crawling dunes or skating across icy tundra. With over 7 inches of ground clearance, it could clear obstacles most SUVs would flinch at. Inside, it struck a balance. Functional yet surprisingly comfortable. Cushy seats, a clean dash layout, and generous headroom made it feel more refined than it looked. That no-frills approach to luxury laid the foundation for the G-Wagon's future as both an off-road icon and high-end status symbol. Oh, they were born to endure, tracing their roots back to 1866 in the fire engine factories of Ulm. MercedesBenz earned a reputation for crafting rugged, air-cooled diesel beasts with serious off-road grit. By the 1950s, models like the Mercure and the 6x6 Jupiter had become go-to machines for militaries and heavy industries, prized for their ability to chew through mud, sand, and stone without breaking a sweat. Under the hood, these trucks ran indestructible air-cooled V8 or straight-six diesel engines that laughed in the face of extreme heat and cold. With 4x4 or 6x6 drivetrains, lockable differentials, and rock-solid chassis setups, they delivered dependable traction in even the harshest conditions. Interiors were bare bones, metal benches, minimal instrumentation, and zero frills. These trucks weren't built for comfort, they were built for war zones and wilderness. By the late 1960s, Mercedes-Benz merged into Fiat's truck division, but the legacy endured. To this day, vintage models still rumble through mud pits and military reenactments, relics of a time when trucks were tougher than the terrain they tamed. And that's exactly what made the Borg B2000 AO so enduring. In post-war Germany, this unassuming utility truck was all about function over flash. With a boxy steel body, a stern front end, and the work ethic of a mountain goat, it was built to get the job done. Its 2.4-litre inline-six delivered just 82 horsepower, but out on rough terrain, brute force wasn't the point. With 260 millimeters of ground clearance and the ability to wade through 750 millimeters of water, it handled mud, snow, and gravel with quiet confidence. A rigid chassis, leaf springs, and selectable four-well dre gave it the grip and grit needed to earn its place in the Bundeswehr. Whether hauling troops, ammunition, or communication gear, the B2000 performed without complaint. Its unsynchronized gearbox demanded skill, but in return, it offered near-bulletproof reliability. Unlike flashier rivals, the Borg didn't need to impress, it just delivered. And today, it's remembered not for how it looked, but for how well it worked. The Hanomag AL28 looked humble, but carried itself like a heavyweight. It was rated for a 1.5-ton payload, though you'd swear it could haul double. Beneath its distinctive alligator hood beat a 2.8-litre pre-chamber diesel engine, putting out about 70 horsepower. Not fast, but full of low-end torque where it counted. Built for tough conditions, the AL28 tackled mud, snow, and dusty West German training grounds with ease. Selectable front axle engagement let drivers switch from pavement to wilderness in seconds. With a top speed around 72 kilometers per hour, it wasn't quick, but it never needed to be. This was a truck designed to endure. Inside it was all business. Vinyl seats, a bare-bones dashboard, and nothing you didn't need. Leaf springs, a rigid frame, and a 750mm fording depth gave it true off-road cred. The AL28 didn't shout, it simply got the job done, no matter how rough the road ahead. Only with a two-stroke twist and a love for getting dirty. Built by Auto Union between 1956 and 1968, this no-nonsense off-roader packed a 900cc, 3-cylinder two-stroke engine producing just 40 horsepower. It came with permanent four-wheel drive, a 4-speed manual gearbox, and a top speed that flirted with 98 kilometers per hour on a good day with a tailwind. Modest power aside, the Munger quickly became a favorite of NATO forces, German border police, and hard-working farmers who needed a go-anywhere utility vehicle. Weighing in at just over 1,650 pounds, its lightweight frame and simple suspension let it glide over rough terrain with surprising ease. It even had an international run. Produced in Brazil under the name DKW VMAG Candango. What made the Munger special wasn't flash, it was function. Tough, simple, and endlessly dependable. It earned its stripes by being exactly what it looked like. A no-fuss, all-terrain workhorse. Because boxy German convertible just didn't have the same ring. Originally built as a military utility vehicle, the Volkswagen Type 181 quickly found civilian fame, winning over drivers from rural Mexico to the beaches of Malibu. Powered by a 1.6-litre air-cooled flat 4, producing a humble 46 horsepower. It wasn't built for speed, but what it lacked in power, it made up for in charm and versatility. Thanks to its lightweight build and simple mechanics, the thing handled light off-roading surprisingly well. Military models even featured reduction gearboxes to boost ground clearance and trail capability. Its design was refreshingly no-nonsense. Removable doors, a fold-down windshield, and a convertible top that made every ride an open-air adventure. The Type 181 didn't just challenge the definition of a car, it rewrote the rules and became a lovable, oddball icon in the process. A van that ditched its cargo-hauling roots and embraced the wild. Based on the classic Volkswagen LT, this boxy beast was transformed into an off-road bruiser built for serious adventure. With full-time four-wheel drive, aggressive tires, and a tall, no-frill stance, the Tripper LT doesn't just handle trails, it owns them. Many builders swap out the original 6-cylinder gas engines in favor of turbocharged 2.5-litre diesels like the D5252T, giving it the torque needed to crawl, climb, and charge through brutal terrain. These machines show up at extreme off-road events across Europe, tackling water crossings, deep mud, and punishing inclines, all in a van. What really sets the Tripper LT apart is its DIY spirit. It's part overlander, part armoured scout vehicle, and 100% unstoppable. No luxury, no gimmicks. Just raw, rugged capability, with undeniable cool factor. The World War II era Schwimvagen Type 166 took off-road to a whole new level. It could drive on water. Designed by Porsche and built by VW starting in 1942, this amphibious oddity was made for more than just muddy trails. Powered by an 1.1-litre flat-4 engine, delivering 25 horsepower, it could reach 80 kilometers per hour on land and about 10 kilometers per hour while floating. Its stamped steel body was sealed tight enough to float, with steering in the water handled by turning the front wheels like rudders. A retractable propeller at the rear connected directly to the engine, allowing seamless transition from dirt to lake. Used heavily on the Eastern Front, the Schwimwagen navigated terrain where most vehicles sank. Inside, it was all metal benches and no luxuries, just grit, gear, and survival. Between 1942 and 1944, over 15,000 were built, making it the most produced amphibious car in history. Today, the Schwimwagen stands as a rare, revered piece of wartime engineering and one of the wildest off-road vehicles ever made.
From twin-engined war machines to triple-axle luxury monsters, Germany's 4x4 legacy is rich, rugged, and surprisingly under the radar. So, which one of these mechanical beasts would you take into the wild? Let us know in the comments. Hit like if you learned something new. Subscribe if you want more off-road icons, forgotten machines, and engineering marvels from around the world.